more deadly. This is 5 per, this is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%, so this is deadly stuff. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down. I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
You know me, SDMT. Man, check this out right here. But before we get to it, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. All the right-wing, conservative, goofy haters, don't even bother to comment because it's getting taken down. You know what I mean? You guys are delusional, crazy, and try to spin everything. But this is one thing that I'm not going to let you spin. Donald Trump is the devil. What we just heard is insane. This was an interview over the phone that he did in March before the coronavirus surge, when he played it down, his own words, played it down while thousands of Americans were in hospitals dying, losing family members, dying. He was playing it down. He liked playing down deaths. And he's responsible for all those deaths by his lack of responsibility and his lack of taking this virus seriously. It's insane how he turned into a physician, chemist, professor, talking about all of the strategies and talking about this virus and how it transmits and how powerful it is. But at the same thought, he would go out into his speeches and tell people it's a Chinese hoax, it's a political plan by the Democrats. It'll be over by Easter. It's not that big of a deal. But yes, it is a very big deal. He had all his followers refusing to wear masks. He put the onus and blame on states to shut things down because he knew people wouldn't be happy with him shutting things down. So he put it on the states. So his followers then attacked states, refusing to wear masks, refusing to social distance, following his ideals and what he's putting out there by not taking it seriously. This is so twisted. This is so evil. We hear him clearly understanding the virus, how it transmits. One point, when he speaks to America, it's just like the flu. But you hear him in the recording, this is more deadly than the flu. If you're trying to say he's trying to play it down, he doesn't want people panicking, that's BS. He's setting people up to die. He threatened schools to take away federal funding if they didn't open schools, pushing kids into schools. At one point during the video, he says, it's not only older people that are threatened, younger people as well. But he's pushing to put these kids in schools. That is the devil right there. He's getting away with setting up a lot of people to get really sick and possibly die. Not only that, he pushed for these people to reopen churches. What's like the, 5 top things old sick people like to do? Go to church. Think about that. What's that little game show? We know. One of the 5 top things old people like to do is go to church. We need to open our churches. In this same video, he says that it goes through the air, you breathe it and it spreads, and it's deadly. So if you open a church with these old people, what are you setting them up for? This is insane. It's kind of crazy because I almost believed that he believed the stuff that he told his followers. But he shows that he doesn't believe it. That he's actually a lot smarter than he lets on. And that he's actually setting up a lot of people and throwing his own people to the wolves at the same time. All these conservative right-wing goofies don't understand that he's playing you. His grandkids, his kids aren't going to no schools. You know what I mean? But he'll send your kids there. He'll risk their lives. This is insane when you think about just how damning this recording is. At one point, he's a laughingstock for telling people to inject, disinfectants and bleach and get UV rays in their body, which is a joke. Imagine if Obama said something that stupid. But he gets a pass because all his followers support his racist agenda, which his cabinet has allegations of them trying to, lower the federal intel on white supremacist groups. That's going to be coming out. We already see that. We know who they love. But I ask you this, how many old Republicans lost their life because of his negligence? You see, this election may be, different just because so many Americans lost their lives, so many Americans that vote. I bet many of them were Republicans. You lost your own right-wing people because he refused to take this virus seriously when he knew it was serious. He knew it was deadly. He speaks to this virus like he's one of the doctors. He publicly, makes fun of Dr. Fauci. But in the same sense, in a hidden recording, he pretty much says the same things that Dr. Fauci said, that it spreads, that it's deadly, that it's way more, deadly than the flu. This is a very damning admission, and it's scary to see how he really is and who he really is. Because I have a question for you. If he says this about the coronavirus, what does he say about police killing unarmed black people? I would love to be a fly on that wall. But I think we can put that together, and we can assume if he speaks like this on the coronavirus, I'm sure he speaks way worse on that towards minorities and black people. The coronavirus has hit America by storm, and people want to say, people are going to die no matter what. That is false. If he would have taken it more seriously, shut things down, been the leader that he could have been, followed the protocol, things could have been handled better. New Zealand handled it better. Many other countries handled it better. And America is the best country in the world. That's what we believe. So there's no excuse for us to be one of the worst countries because we have people to refuse to follow the protocols and the social distancing and wearing the mask because their leader wasn't taking it serious. I have a friend, you know what I mean? I'm going to share a personal story where we were just talking recently. He was just like, it was before these recordings came out. And he was like, man, I don't think it's real, man. There's doctors online saying it's not real. So when I got this recording, I sent it to my friend. And you know what? I was like, you got to believe it now. Your cult leader said it's real. And guess what he said? He didn't text me back. So the whole move of not taking this virus seriously was caused by 45, Trump. He had a whole wave of people believing his nonsense. He's a con man. He's a great salesman. That's why he's a businessman. He can sell you down the river, which he is doing to his own followers. They will believe any nonsense that he says. Over 60 people have died from ingesting bleach or disinfectants. And I definitely think what he said has something to do with that. Sadly, people will listen to whatever people say. He's unqualified to be president, we already know. But when you're white, you're privileged, and you're a billionaire, and you have a racial agenda, people will promote you. The only reason he's president, honestly, is he went after Obama, and that really sparked so many closet racists to just, have so much love and, admiration for him to go after Obama so publicly like he did. If Obama wasn't president, Donald Trump would never be president. But his disdain and going after Obama is what made him loved. It was made him admired by those who follow him, those with an agenda that they think is hidden, that they think they're James Bond of racism. But you're not. It's very clear your agenda. It is very clear who he supports. And it's very clear that he's not in over his head in a situation like many people have said. He knows things and he does things wrong purposely. He purposely mishandled things, which led to thousands of deaths in America. He's also pushing for kids to go to school. Now people say, what if these kids don't get sick? Which a lot of schools in Georgia, kids were getting sick. And not only that, those kids got to go home to parents and grandparents and people with other medical issues that can lead to death or very, 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 great illness, and continue to spread this problem. Pushing for churches to be open, pushing to spread this. In this video, he says it spreads easily through the air, and it's deadly. Why are you setting people up to get sick and die? There's no way around that. There's no spinning this. There's no twisting this. He left you right-wingers hanging. He played you more than he played anyone, because he had you doing his work, not believing in this virus when the whole time he knew how deadly it was. All your propaganda is just like the flu. It's not that bad. It's 1%. Well, he's letting you know it is that bad, and it's 5%. All your BS and all your ways of trying to spin it, he exposed himself and his knowledge of the virus, and he also exposed that he purposely likes playing it down and not, attacking it the way he should as a leader, which is leading to deaths in America. This is insane. Like, it's just mind-blowing. I was just so shocked hearing him in that recording, how intelligently he articulated the danger of this virus. Because he comes out in front of America, it's a Chinese hoax. It'll be over by Easter. It's not that serious. If people get tested less, there'll be less, people would test it positive. Some of the most ignorant things he said. But the truth of the matter is, he knew it was ignorant. It was all part of his act. It was all part of his spin and his sell and his con. This man is dangerous. He's led many people down the river to get sick and die. Now, if you want to say, hey, he knew these things, but he wanted to play it down. He didn't want people to get out of control. But hey, COVID is around the world. There's reports around the world of what's going on, so people are going to find out. So that's BS. And if you don't want people panicking, why would you push them into church? Why would you push them into school before things are properly handled? When you know there's spreads and, deep spreads in many states and cities in America, that it's not under control. Why are you pushing it for these things to open? To risk lives. He's not going to these schools. Neither him, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, they're not risking their lives. They're at home. They got tutors. He's living that rich billionaire life, house on the hills. He's not going to risk his life, but he will risk yours. But you just don't get it, because you're right wing and you have an agenda, and he supports your agenda, so that's all that matters. Not the fact that many deaths, even right-wing deaths, were because his negligence. You can't deal with that. You can't have a true, honest, opinion of saying, man, he let us down. You have to come with some spin for a man with many flaws and a man with an evil agenda, an evil mind. He likes playing down a virus while hundreds of thousands of people die, lose their family members, their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunts, their uncles. People are dying, and you want to play it down. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Setting people up. I want to open up schools. I want to open up churches. Now let's think about this. If there's a park down the street that I know that a lot of people get shot and killed at, but there's a skate park. And you're like, man, you know any good skate parks? And I tell you to go to that one. And I walk you to that skate park and I leave you there and you get shot or you get hurt. I set you up. Now, if this was a recording of Obama saying this, the right wing will go crazy. Oh my gosh. But you have no accountability. You have no morals and ethics to look at this man and see what he did and say, man, this is wrong. He showed one face in this interview that he didn't show us in his press conferences. He could have said, yes, we need to follow this protocol. This is a very serious epidemic in America, and everybody needs to take it seriously and follow the protocol. We're going to shut things down. We're going to go through this process, and we're going to try to get things back on track. That's not what he did. He empowered a lot of people, a group of very gullible, very easily convinced people that think that it wasn't a big deal, that it wasn't that bad. And all of their counter arguments, he destroyed in that video. That's what they were saying. Oh, it's just like the flu. We lose this many people to the flu. 1%. Well, Donald Trump said it's 5%. Dummy, you're wrong. You know your cult leader that you follow everything he says? He just hurt your argument. Think about that. This man knew how deadly this virus was. I mean, like, I feel kind of like, you know what I mean? Like he got over on me as well because I almost believed how ignorant he was in his press conferences. It's like, man, this dude was ignorant as hell. But the truth of the matter was, he knew. He knew how deadly it was. He knew that it spread through the air. He knew that people should be wearing masks and people should be social distancing. He got prepped and he got all the information. He had Dr. Fauci right there, let him know how dangerous the situation was. Yet, he would go out there and make it some political hoax. It's a democratic hoax. It's not real. And that's what a lot of right-wing goofies said. It's a hoax, which is the most ignorant thing, because if it was a hoax, that means it would only be in America. This is global. This is happening in Russia and China and all over the world. So this is not some American thing where you can try to make it a political issue, which is his fault for not taking this seriously and empowering gullible, small-minded people to believe that this virus wasn't dangerous. You have his followers going on airplanes, taking their mask off, refusing to wear masks, refusing to shut down, refusing to follow, capacity rules, refusing to clean businesses, and refusing to follow protocol while risking lives. We look at some of the most conservative states, had some of the worst outbreaks. From Nevada to Arizona, they just kept things open. They kept acting like it wasn't a big deal, and they had crazy outbreaks, filled up their hospitals. So we see that it was his followers. Even the Herman Cain guy went to his rally and died from coronavirus. How crazy is that? But I guess, he's not the right color, so you don't care too much, right? It's pretty sad how evil this man is, and it's shocking that you can support this man and not hold him accountable. Yet if this was somebody else, you would definitely be outraged. And now you're going to be looking to try to spin and cover his butt because he just exposed himself and he just left you guys hanging and played you. This video shows that he played his followers. He played them. He just played the hell out of you. You really believed his BS. It's not that serious. It's just like the flu. We need to open up everything. It's all about the economy. Just open up everything and let people die. It's just so shocking to me how he turned into this well-spoken, intelligent man in this interview, speaking on this virus and how deadly it is, but at the same time promoted to people that it wasn't that deadly, that you should go to school, that you should go to churches, risking people's lives doing things that he would never do because he's smart enough to know how deadly it is. Even if he wasn't president and he knew he had this information, he wouldn't be going to these churches. He wouldn't be going to these schools because he doesn't want to risk his life. But again, he has no problem risking your life. And then, there's no way of spinning this one. He's caught red-handed with his hand in a cookie jar. I don't want to hear no excuse or no spin. You can't spin it. He sold you out. He told the truth. He spoke very intelligently and articulately how dangerous this virus is, how it spreads, how it's more dangerous than the flu, how there's going to be many deaths, also how that it doesn't only affect older people, that it also affects younger people. Then he came out in the press conference and said that younger people are immune to it. And this is after this recording. So he knew that was BS, but he said it anyway. There's been spikes to young people that were going out and, not following the protocols, and they had a spike in tests. People say, oh, it's okay, they didn't die. But what if they had family members that did? At the end of the day, this situation has gotten out of control because of lack of leadership and someone that is more focused on ratings and polls than human lives. That's why he didn't take this seriously. He's a troll and he likes to go against, do the opposite of the right thing. Not the right, but the right thing to do. That's what makes him popular. Him not believing this virus, it inspired so many people to refuse to wear their masks, to go into restaurants and refuse to wear their masks, to go in their stores and attack workers that tell them to wear a mask. This is his doing. This is his fault because he inspired this behavior by telling people it wasn't that serious. These people listen to everything he says. They eat up his BS. If he came out and said what he said in that interview to the American public, they would follow his lead. Period. These people have no proper brain cells to think for themselves, and even when they know he's full of BS, they still go along for the ride. Now, I hope you feel dumb, because you should. This underqualified man gets elected and is playing games with real human lives, American citizens, because he likes playing it down. Every time a person dies, a family member, somebody's hurt, crying and in pain, but he likes playing that down. Instead of taking it seriously, it took him several months to wear a mask publicly and said it's the most patriotic thing you can do. And you know why he did that? Because he knew sooner or later he was going to be on the hook for that. So he had to start promoting to take this seriously. He should have had a mask on way back in February, March, and January to get people to understand, like, let's take this seriously. Let's knock this out so we can get back to normal living. Because this opening and closing is just going to become a pattern. We open, we close, we shut down. We open, we shut down. Because people don't take it seriously. Because people follow this man without any regard for themselves, America, other citizens, or just common sense, sadly. I don't want to hear your spin. I don't want to hear your BS because there's no answer to this. There's no excuse. If this was a left-winger, you would be going insane. But it's one of yours, and you have no accountability and no morals, no ethics to say Man, he handled that bad. Which he did. And he knows he did. In his heart, in his brain, even though how evil he is, he knows he's handled this wrong. Very wrong. But at the end of the day, all he cares about is 4 more years. 4 more years cause more damage and more, uproaring of white supremacy in America. It is very transparent what's going on. America's in a scary place. And the sad thing is, I think that he's definitely going to be elected again. Because there's a large group of America that they don't even care about all these human life, sadly. They just care about their agenda. They just care about, their side and their beliefs and trying to get the leverage of everything to their side and going so right that they forget they're just a human being trying to take care of their family and eat just like the left. And at the end of the day, we're all American citizens. Supporting terrorist groups, white supremacy, trying to cover for them because it fits your agenda. Supporting 17-year-olds going on shooting sprees, going to riots with the mindset of provoking and shooting people. Trying to make a hero of this because it supports your agenda. That says something horrible about you. America's in this weird place. It's almost like how Hitler took over, causing all this controversy, finding scapegoats. We're in a scary place. And this is the leader that they wanted to take us here. Civil War Part 2. They're mad they lost. But not only did they lose, they kept working behind the shadows. They kept training the kids. They kept promoting their agenda. They kept infiltrating politics and police forces and military to set up for these moments right here we're in, where they have the perfect leader that's going to cover their butt, but at the same time, lead them to the wolves. Not only left have died from coronavirus, COVID-19, the right has died as well. American citizens, many. And this shouldn't be a political issue. This should be a humanity issue. An issue that someone had the information to help stop deaths and help create a positive movement to work to get rid of this and get this under control so we can get back to normal life. Everybody wants to get back to normal life. But the question is, does he want to get back to normal life and do his followers? Because if you did, you would take this virus seriously. We have seen people not take it seriously, and it spread and it spread and it spread. It's insanity doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different outcome. Donald Trump has let America down. He set up a lot of people to get sick and die with his propaganda, pushing his agenda, telling people not to take this seriously, telling people it's just like the flu, it's a small percentage, telling people young people are immune to it. These things are all false. We've seen that. And he himself admitted it in the recording. This is damning. There's no way around how damning this recording is. And all you can do is say that you don't care because you support his agenda. That's all you can do, because there's no way of spinning this. You can't say, he didn't want panic because this is global. The information's out, so that's not going to work. Also, if you don't want panic, it doesn't make sense for you to push people into schools and church, because that would create more outbreaks, which would create a panic. which more people get sick, so that makes no sense. If something is deadly and it can pass easily, you should be very stern and you should be very focused on trying to do your best to eliminate it and not underestimate how deadly it is. But the scariest thing is he knew the whole time how deadly it is, yet he played his role and got his people to underestimate it, to use it in some political warfare, in some game of show how right-wing you are by not wearing your mask and, not social distancing and refusing to follow these rules. There was militias in Boise that all got together and pushed their way into courthouses, into Congress and courthouses, and knocked over all the social distancing and sat all close and, infiltrated their whole building. Now, these men were not shot or, treated like protesters or minorities, obviously, because, we know how America is. We know the privilege that some people have, that they feel they can go into government offices with guns and push past police while police do nothing because they also are part of these groups, we already know, and refuse to follow these rules. These extremist right-wing militias and groups follow his lead. Now, if he would have got these people to understand the danger, which he had already knew, and not turn this into a political issue, man, things may be so different. But instead, we have some reality goofy who only cares about ratings and polls and getting another 4 years while trying to pat himself on the back for things that are trivial when it compares to American lives. Donald Trump, you failed. You failed horribly. And for having and knowing this information and playing your, naive and gullible followers and having them turn this into a political issue where they feel more empowered by refusing to follow protocol, that's on you. Your followers probably led to more people being spread and more people getting sick because they refused to follow the protocol, which led to more people getting sick and dying. That's on you. It is shocking what people will try to cover for and spend for when they see it clear as day. It says something about your morals and your ethics and who you are as a person. When you see something wrong, and in your core you know it's wrong, but you try to cover it up because, this person has the same agenda or this person's on your side. It makes you more guilty than the person that actually did the crime. Because you know it's wrong and you're trying to cover for them. That's the worst kind of person. Hopefully, people get the message and understand that this man wasn't, unknowledgeable to how dangerous this was. He knew just how dangerous it was, but he purposely misled his followers and many of Americans into thinking it wasn't as dangerous as it was, which led to American deaths, which is unexcusable. Yes, there were going to be deaths. I know you're going to say in the comments, there's going to be deaths no matter what. And yes, there would be. But there would be less if he handled it properly. There's no excuse for America to be one of the worst breakouts because this is a political issue and because he made this pandemic a political issue and empowered his followers to go against the protocol to show how, how loyal they were. Hopefully you understand this video. Hopefully the message gets through. Hopefully some right-wingers out there have some morals and ethics and say, yeah, this was wrong. I'm still going to vote for him. I still like him, but this was wrong. I can respect that. But I can't respect the spin. I can't respect, but what about this guy? Or what about this? Or when people going to die? And, he was just trying to, keep people calm. That's BS. There's no excuse for this. If this was Obama, man, the right would be, beating that pinata. You know what I'm saying? It's very clear. Me, I would be honest. I'd be like, man, that's horrible. He just exposed himself. Like, you can't cover for this. You can't cover for this. You can't cover for somebody that knows something is very bad and privately shares it in an interview, but then publicly goes out and plays it down, enjoys playing it down, while American deaths continuously happen over and over and over and over and again, while he likes playing it down. That's horrible, man. That's horrible, and that's evil, and that's the devil. I'm out. SDMT!